Right, so ChatGPT just launched their deep research integration with HubSpot. So in this video, we're going to go through and kick the tires a little bit and have a quick look around to see what all the fuss is about. I'm also going to touch on a few use cases I think this could work really nicely in, but also a few areas where I think no one should get too excited. Well, too excited just yet anyway. So before we get into all of that, let's just go through and show how you can go and set this up. Now, if you're in the UK and I believe the EU, I'm not sure about America, you need ChatGPT or OpenAI business. So you need the business plan. So if you go onto it, you can go onto team or enterprise, and it's about £25 per person. And I think you have to have two. So it's going to at least cost you around $50 per month if you want to use this. The reason they do this, I believe, is if you are part of the teams package and you're paying for that, or the enterprise, they don't apparently ever use your data for future updates. So they don't use it to train the language model and everything else. Also with the team, there's going to be different levels of security, which you can see here, which align a bit more with, say, for example, the EU and the UK based laws. From a HubSpot perspective, you can have even like the free plan and you'll still be able to integrate. So it's all done from a pay side on the ChatGPT and OpenAI side. So if we go into the web browser, and the first thing you want to do is go onto tools, run deep research, and then you can see here, I've already got it selected. So it sources HubSpot. Typically what was done before, and what I really like a use case for ChatGPT is the web search. Deep research, I think, is actually one of the best things that AI have been able to do to allow you to go and research things and get your head around certain topics, and then be able to use your own input to be able to go and piece it all together. Obviously, what they're doing now is doing it the same for HubSpot. So if you go and connect more, if you haven't already, you can then go and click on connect. Like you can go and connect like Dropbox, GitHub, Gmail, all these other tools which you can pull straight in. So once you've done that, you go on deep research, click on sources, click on HubSpot, and then you can go and, just like you would anywhere else, go and write your prompts. Now, I'm not going to write a prompt here, but I want to go through a couple of use cases and some ones that I made earlier. So just like when you do deep research, but for the web, you can go and actually see all the sources that they've taken. So you can click here and you can see if I go sources, and on the right-hand side, you can go and see all the sources which they've gone through and examined. Typically, this would be different websites, but in here, it'll be everything from different deals, different contacts, different email threads, whatever it may be. It will go through and tell you the language they're using, whether it's Python, for example, to pull that data back into here. I'm going to blur it out because obviously there can be some sensitive information in here. So it goes through all of that and it then pulls it in, and it does that thing that deep research does where it thinks to itself and it shows you the decisions it's making. It's like, okay, I couldn't find that, so I'm going to go and try and find this now. Same way it would do in a web search. One of the bad use cases, which I've tried on a previous one, I'd say, is you go into it and you say, show me the deals that I've got on at the moment, or show me, a breakdown by channel that is being converting well. Show me the ones that are most likely to convert in the next month. I'd say all of these, take about 5 to 10 minutes to actually pull up. So this last one here, for example, took 12 minutes, and it just pulls you out a table, and that table is fine, and a lot of the information, is accurate. A lot being the key word there. But if you're going to do that, you might as well log into HubSpot and look at your dashboards anyway. So this isn't going to replicate your dashboards. I'm sure if people don't want to go into HubSpot at all, they can just literally start using this rather than having to use their login. Maybe they forgot it or something. But you can do this and you can pull it out, but it just show you the same sort of table you can see in reports. Also, the dashboards are better for another reason. That is because they are statements of record. So they are fact. So all the information in the HubSpot dashboards and the reports is what the data is, right? So it's someone's real name, it's someone's real deal amount that you've had with them, it's someone that's been entered in there, that's not been made up, or the word is hallucinated by an AI. So sometimes AI can just kind of make things up and just hallucinate and be like, you have made £1 million with this company here, and it could be completely fake. It's a bit of a random example. Perplexity is probably the one that hallucinates the least, but in some cases, GPT, if you want 100% statement of fact, go and look at the dashboards. But where it works really nicely, and I think again it all depends on how good the data input you've put in. So from forms, what people have filled out, how you've heard about us, how often it's been updated with, say, like notes, all the email threads being sort of collated and make sure they're attached to the contact, making sure the deals are updated on time, making sure that the deals that have come in, that have also been lost later on, have gone out, and sort of the timelines are correct. The more information around that you can put in is great. Then this is where it's really going to be quite powerful. So use case one would be around looking when someone comes in, And obviously everyone, fills out a form like, how did you hear about us? And they fill out, a message. So I went through and asked them to be like, how did they hear about us? And what were the biggest pain points in the last 1 to 2 years? And specifying that the time frame is super important here. Otherwise it will go back through your whole legacy. And if you just want to care about the last few years, fine. If you care about 10 years, you can say that. So whatever it is. And then it asks you these qualifying questions like it does again with you do the deep research on the web, for example. And then I came down here, and the interesting thing is obviously I'm in this a lot, so I have a very good idea of what's going on. And you can see the past 1 to 2 years, the main places that people have found us, Google search, YouTube videos. You can see a significant recent share of leads mentioning YouTube videos. So we can see that it's changed over time, LinkedIn ads and content and word of mouth. And then we can go through here and see the pain points. So it's very much gone from just like generic, like they just wanted one single channel to now asking for multiple channels, which again is an interesting thing of the evolution of what our clients and prospects have been asking for us. So going through this, but the noteworthy thing is it goes through and shows you the shift over time. So for example, last 1 to 2 years, the channels bringing in the leads have diversified. Early in the period, so about 2 years ago, Google search was overwhelmingly dominant, whereas recent years, YouTube has emerged as the significant source of new leads, which is super good for us to know, because ultimately, even though it's not directly attributing that to YouTube, people are mentioning it, and it's starting to show us that the efforts here are working without us having to go through and manually have a good idea. So if you're joining a company or if you're a marketing manager, you can kind of see a good legacy of the information of where people are telling you this stuff. But where else do I think this could be really useful? I think it could be really useful of identifying trends of where people are finding out about you. I think from a strategy perspective, it's going to be super handy, and by that I mean I think with positioning. So people are probably going to mention which competitors they're currently using and why they potentially want to use your product. They'll probably start, you'll be able to find out what industries are most likely getting in contact with you and which ones you're winning the most. So you can position, you can also look at industry related content. You can look at how you're going to sort of start promoting to those companies. So from a strategy meta perspective, and then moving down into messaging, it's super, super handy to do top line research. I also think if you have like help desks which go through HubSpot, or if you have sales emails and response rates, it'll go through and be able to comb through all of that to give you really good content ideas, really good ways to potentially objection handle, and again to sort of slightly adjust your positioning. Again, a lot of these people in your CRM are going to be sort of the survivor bias. So you want to make sure that you kind of include it with some of the wider like market sentiment stuff as well to know where you're going, and not just take this all as Bible. But I think it's a really nice way of showing that, how we can start thinking about using the CRM data to tell stories using LLM to be able to give us a bit more insight without having to manually go through and start pulling it all together and spending days or weeks to actually sort of crunch this and create it. And I think the movement over time was super interesting. So what happened a year ago versus what happened now, and the evolution and just the way people talk about your products and what they're looking for, and just all the ongoing support messaging, I think just really helps you get behind the mind of what your customers current and potentially future want. So it helps you to evolve not only strategy, positioning, who you're targeting in an industry, but also where you're going to sort of position it in the future. I think that's one probably thing as well, is this sort of stuff, if you do set it up to automatically run, could also identify trends. So every now and then we'll have some clients who, say for example, have like a big month, but lots of banking contacts come through. We then inadvertently find out that there's been a big regulation update in banking, which means they have to do X, Y, Z. So it allows you to be quite reactive, because you can actually start seeing trends in real time as they happen if you do this deep research regularly, and benchmark it against what's happening previously, and then you can jump on that messaging and really push it through, say if your wider company hasn't fed that to you, or you're an agency or whatever it is. We'd love to know how you guys use this, if you think it'd be useful. Any questions, as always, please feel free to whack them in the comments below. Hope you have a good week, and until next time, speak to you very soon.